It's two really high-powered offenses all coming to a head with both teams averaging over 85 points per game. Bama has some Final Four vets leading the way in Mark Sears and Grant Nelson, and the Cougars showing that they are resilient, battle-tested, beating Wisconsin even after the Badgers made a little bit of a comeback there in that game. But let's talk about BYU. Here's a closer look at their journey from March Madness Confidential.
We got off to a good start in our non-conference schedule and then had a couple bumps in a row. Early days in Big 12, you start at 1-3, then we go to 2-4.
Set it, rim, shape, space.
I wrote on my office in red marker, find solutions, period. And that was kind of the mindset I want our staff to kind of be about, and that really helped us.
It's just a matter of looking forward and really just finding the solution. Because that's just something active that you can do instead of just sitting there being sad. Like that's a pretty passive thing.
This is where we were growing through the season a lot, and how to play for each other and not being focused on your problem or somebody else's problem. It's our own problem, and we're trying to find a solution for it.
The 6th seed going to the Sweet 16.
You rely on the stuff you've been doing all year long, and that's why we're in this position. Let's go!
What we've done is just similar to the finding solutions, right? We're just battle tested. We've had to learn so much this year, but this is now the time to really do that.
March Madness is like the mecca of college basketball. It's everything you dreamed of. Having the opportunity to play in it is great, but having the opportunity to be in the Sweet 16 is incredible. It's one of those things where you're just like addicted to it. You're like, man, I just want more.
I always said, man, I bet it's so fun to coach in March Madness, and it is, man. It's lived up to the hype. It's incredible. It captivates America. Thrilled to be a part of it. Hoping we can continue to make things happen.
Together, 1, 2, 3, together.
Oh, it is why we love March, right? Jacqueline D'Agostino here, Kyle Boone, Avery Johnson in the house. You guys, first of all, great to see you in person. This is how I know basketball is officially back, when we have you guys joining us on set. Let's talk about BYU and Bama. And you heard it there. It's not my problem, it's our problem. That is the mentality there. Not selfish at all. And it's remarkable. Kevin Young leading his team to a Sweet 16 in his first year as a D1 head coach. Avery, I will start with you. How impressed are you with what he's been able to do with this squad?
I'm very impressed with Kevin Young. I remember him. He was the highest paid assistant coach in the NBA on the Phoenix Suns bench. I remember him when he was in Philadelphia. This guy's an outstanding young coach, 43 years old. It was a little bit of a surprise that he made the jump from the NBA to college, and now we see quite a few coaches. You know, assistant coach from the Dallas Mavericks takes the Utah job. You know, assistant coach from Sacramento takes the Florida State job. So Kevin Young is inspiring a lot of young coaches that are on NBA benches to prove to them that you can make the jump to college. He's a great offensive mind and has BYU playing at a very high level, and he wants to do a good job at BYU because BYU, they don't send players to the NBA. That's going to be a great recruiting tool for him to recruit players to say, now I can be your path to the NBA.
Kyle, what do you think about what he's been able to do there? And also the interesting move as well, going from the NBA to the college ranks.
No, I think he's opened up, like, you know, an avenue that maybe was not there before. Kevin Young, a guy who came from the NBA, was hired from the Phoenix Suns and has BYU playing at a really high level right now. They're number 9 in offensive efficiency this season. 47.8% of their offense is attributed to three-pointers. That's highest among all teams still in the NCAA tournament. So they've really relied and kind of leaned into the analytical side of college basketball in a way that is benefiting them all the way to the Sweet 16. They have a potential lottery pick in Yegor Dimon. They have the #1 prospect coming in next year. So he's done a fantastic job, and the way that they've played makes this BYU team a lot of fun to watch.
Let's go to the Bama side of things, because they're making their 4th Sweet 16 in 5 seasons, and they have guys that have Final Four experience. We always talk about how experience is so important come March in Mark Sears and Grant Nelson. How much does that veteran Final Four experience, Kyle, matter to you in moments like this?
Oh, absolutely it matters. You're talking about a BYU team that is playing at a high level right right now, but very, very young, inexperienced. And Alabama has been there before. They were in the Final Four last year. They have Mark Sears, who, we had as a preseason first-team All-American and has proven to be one of the best players in college basketball. Grant Nelson has been there before. And, a lot of the pieces on this Alabama team are new, right? They really retooled this team in the offseason around Mark Sears and around Grant Nelson. But the experience is absolutely there, and this playing big dividends right now for this Alabama team, primed to potentially make a second consecutive Final Four.
Yeah, Alabama, tremendous team offensively, averaging, 90 points a game. Their Achilles heel could be their defense, but they really just outscore you. And this team is tremendous. Mark Sears, what a story. To do what he's doing on the floor. I love watching this lefty play. Grant Nelson, when he plays well, Alabama is a championship caliber team. That's how good he is. But I think Aiden Holloway, the transfer from Auburn, has made a tremendous difference with this team. I know you're going to highlight some players here in a minute, but that's who I got my eyes on, because when Sears got in foul trouble in the last game, you got Holloway that you could put in the game. And he's really like a starter coming off the bench. So this is a very deep team. This is a team independent of their three-point shooting. They make a tremendous amount of layups. You got to be able to defend the basket. They get offensive rebounds. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup.
And Coach, you said when Grant Nelson plays, this is a championship caliber team. And the big news with him is his health, where he's at. Nate Oates, Grant Nelson saying he's at about 90%, which is probably as good as he's going to get this time of the year, because, no one's maybe 100% healthy. Is 90% Grant Nelson mean this team is playing at a championship level in your eyes?
It really does, because, anybody who's playing at 90% this time of the year, that's actually
it's pretty good.
I've been there before as a player, and I've coached guys because I've coached in the NCAA tournament. But Grant, because of his versatility, he can put the ball on the floor. He's good defensively. I think his Achilles heel sometimes is at the free throw line, where he's not as consistent. But his experience, being able to play some stretch 5, stretch 4, he can post up a little bit, but just his versatility on the front line and the big E word, experience, you just can't teach it.
Yep. No, I think that's exactly right. The size that he gives and the versatility, like you have Mark Sears, you have Aiden Holloway, you have LeBaron Philon in the backcourt. Then you add Grant Nelson, the size, the ability, the versatility that he can shoot from 3, he can attack off the dribble. 90%. Maybe it's rounding up a little bit, but if you have 85%, 80% Grant Nelson, I think that's good enough for Alabama to advance in this matchup.
Okay, yeah, like 85.6 rounded up to 90, and we'll call it that, right? All right, we're going to get into players to watch, the coaching edge, all of that. And Avery, you alluded to it. Kyle, the players that you're going to watch, we've already talked about it. Guys that can score a whole lot of points on both sides of the ball, but who are the players that you're going to be honing in on? Yeah, the one that I'm watching tonight, and of course, Alabama, they can score with anyone, the #1 offense in college basketball. It's BYU's Yegor Dimon. And he's not really a scorer. He's a guy who is on the lottery radar right now as a potential top 10 pick. But he's a guy who I think his size for BYU is going to be vital. He had 8 assists against Wisconsin in the second round. His ability to see the floor and pass, I think, opens up BYU's offense. BYU this season 15-2 when he's had 6 or more assists in a game. So they need him to be involved in the offensive game plan for the Cougars. If he's successful in creating offense and getting to his spots, and maybe on top of that, getting some offense and scoring, then I think BYU has a chance to play spoiler and upset in this matchup. All right. I mean, spoiler upset, that's something that we haven't seen too much of in the tournament. So I know some fans at home would certainly like that. Avery, we got to talk about the coaching edge here. It really is experience and a coach that has been there before and has been to 4 Sweet 16s in the last 5 seasons, and then a coach that's doing it, getting his team this far in his first year as a D1 head coach. We keep talking about experience. Does experience equal coaching edge in your eyes?
Well, yes, Nate Oates, definitely. I should be on this list because I left Nate Oates a really good team at Alabama.
Well, tell the graphics department, Avery.
And Jack changed his graphic. But no, Coach Oates has definitely got the experience and the advantage here because, you know, again, he's got more at-bats, significant amount of more at-bats. 8 tournament appearance. He was really good at Buffalo, at Alabama, Sweet 16, Final Four. But even this year, think about how many teams made it to the NCAA tournament from the SEC. So all of those great coaches that you have to go up against every night when you're coaching in the SEC because of the depth in the SEC, and because of over the years, he's coached against so many other great Hall of Fame coaches. Kevin Young will get there, but Coach Oaks definitely has the advantage.
Yes, 7 teams in the Sweet 16 from the SEC, the most by any conference, which is remarkable. Finally, we're going to get to who wins. When it is all said and done, who is going to the Elite Eight? Kyle, kick us off.
Yeah, it's going to be the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm going to go with the favorite, a little bit of chalk. Alabama has the #1 scoring offense in college basketball. They're actually #1 in adjusted tempo. I think BYU will have a chance to maybe run along with Alabama, but the scoring that Alabama has, this could end up being like an 195 type game. I think Alabama just has too much offense for BYU to keep up with in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree with Alabama. And Mark Sears really hasn't played his best game in the tournament, so if he has a breakout game, that takes him to an entirely different level. The one concern I would have, this BYU team, they're not St. Mary's. I thought St. Mary's would play a whole lot better. I didn't know St. Mary's was going to go 0 for 9 in the first half, and, you know, Marcelunas was going to look like a 4th-team All-WCC player instead of first team. So Alabama's playing against a much more dominant, explosive offensive team that can score and that has a good bench. And Alabama tends to foul. The average is about 23 fouls a game. You don't want to foul BYU. So I think whoever makes the most threes, BYU makes over 10.5 threes a game. And if they can make 10 or 11 or 12 threes, I believe it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm still picking Alabama.
All right, both the guys, Kyle and Avery, going with Bama to move on to the Elite Eight. I'm so excited to get college basketball back. It's literally felt like 2 years these last 3 days. And, of course, and BYU, Bama kicking things off for us out of all those Sweet 16 games that we have on tap. Make sure right now, more than ever, you download the March Madness Live app. You can watch every men's game live. You don't want to miss a minute of the action all the way to the Final Four and the National Championship game. So right after BYU Bama tips, we get the Gators and the Crab 5 tipping off from San Francisco. Can Maryland keep up with Florida's depth? We're going to ask Coach and Kyle coming up.